Welcome to the Be Your Best Self Life Planning Series. I'm your host, Lequita Brooks, LCSW. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about the unfortunate and heinous incident that occurred at Stoneman Douglas High School. And it's so many different debates going on right now till it's ridiculous. You have the Democrats and the Republicans. They're arguing about more guns, less guns, arming teachers, not arming teachers, more, police officers at schools. Just so many different debates because of this. And, as I'm looking at it as a licensed clinical social worker, I'm sitting back saying to myself, is more guns really the answer? Is less guns really the answer? I'm not sure, but what I can say as a clinical social worker, just kind of sitting back, and I don't have an invested interest in either one of them. Whether one person wins or loses, more guns, less guns, that's not my thing. To me, it's like, let's look at it from, an analysis standpoint. What is the real issue? And the real issue is that so many people in our society today do not know how to deal with adversity. They don't know how to appropriately handle different situations when things are not going well for them. No matter if they're being bullied, they lost their job, they're feeling a sense of rejection, and it might be more than just lost job, a loss of anything, or a rejection from anything, or someone constantly taunting them. And I was at a meeting about, a couple of months ago at a juvenile justice advisory meeting, and one of the individuals in the room, probably like in their 50s, late 50s, early 60s, said, well, I don't understand what the big deal is. I was poor, and I didn't rob, I didn't steal, and I didn't do all these different things. Well, 40, 50 years ago, poverty is not poverty today. 40, 50 years ago, people probably didn't know they were poor because everybody in the community was poor, so they didn't know. Versus in today's world, when someone is poor or something is not right with them, or they're at a disadvantage from others, they know. They know just because of how society is and our access to information. So we can't look at how things were handled 40, 50 years ago, because it's not the same. Because our kids, even 20 years ago, my 12-year-old knows way more than what I knew when I was her age, just because we didn't have full access to the internet and cell phones and all those different things. So I challenge all of us to really start looking at the underlying root to things. I don't know if maybe in the school system, in the education, in the English classes, maybe there could be different assignments related to writing, but also with writing down your thoughts, talking about some of the issues that you're going through, writing down your feelings, writing about different issues. So maybe there's a way for the school system to take a more proactive approach with something they're already doing. As we know, there are tons of English standards, tons. So why not take some of that time in the English class and combine the two to give students an opportunity to, and I'm not saying that it's the end all and it's going to solve all the problems, but at least it gives the kids a platform where they can confide in their teachers, and no one else is going to read these different articles or things that they write about. Maybe there could be different prompts in classes that talk about, hey, name us, write us, make up a story about, someone being bullied. How do you think they handled that situation? And this could be what they're really writing about is about them, but since they're making up a story about it, it doesn't put the pressure on them, and they can say, oh, I just made that story up. And then there could be some dialogue that's had, about it. Because in my opinion, it's a lack of coping skills, and people just don't know how to handle situations when they arise. I know for me, I'm a clinical social worker, and there are probably other people that's in professions where we have too much to lose, so we're not, right? We're just not, going to do something and put ourselves in a situation where it's going to ruin our livelihoods. But some people don't have that buffer to say, let me think twice. And even especially with our youth, they're young. And we talk about beginning with the end in mind, a Stephen, Covey principle. We talk about it all the time, but it's a strong chance that they don't really get it because they don't have a true understanding of consequences for our actions. And in today's world, they can look online to make fake guns and figure out all kind of other ways to do heinous acts that's not even related to guns. So just because it's a shooting the other day, it could be poison tomorrow. It could be something else crazy that I can't even think of in my imagination. But I'm quite sure it's out there, and there are other things that kids can do that can have the same negative impact as a shooting did. They might be able to put some virus in the air to kill people. It's just no telling what's out here. So, as Lequita Brooks is speaking, clinical social worker, I'm saying let's teach kids how to cope. Let's teach kids how to deal. In my class with Youth Source this past week, at our Lunch and Learn series at the Young Men and Young Women's Leadership Academy here in Jacksonville, Florida, I gave the students like a little canvas and we kind of talked things through. We talked about why do we feel like the Stoneman Douglas shooting happened? And many of them said because he was expelled, because he was being bullied, maybe he was abused, all these different things. And then we talked about what were some strategies, some positive things that he could have decided to do instead of killing people. They talked about, hey, talking to an administrator at the school, even as we know he was out of school. But in one of their situations, they're still in school. So they can talk to an administrator at the school. They talked about getting, mental health counseling. Some people said, hey, figure out, some fun things to do by yourself. Kind of try to get your mind off of it. Get involved in extracurricular activities. So these are things that my absolutely amazing 6th and 7th graders talked about. So I'm just glad that they were, able to actually brainstorm and come up with some other alternatives to deal with whatever anger or frustration or just malice that's inside of their hearts or whatever is going on. So I challenge all of us, hey, let's advocate to see what can be done to teach our students to cope and to learn how to deal with adverse situations. And if you watch the replay, type replay in the comments below. Leave your thoughts, leave your feedback, any resources you want to add. And I'm Lequita Brooks, LCSW. This, the Be Your Best Self Life Planning Series is provided by LCN Enterprise. Until next week, Facebook Live, LCN Enterprise, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Lequita Brooks, LCSW. Be your best self.